The next part of polynomials that I think is really important to review is how you multiply polynomials. So what I like to think about, there's kind of two parts to it. I always focus on multiplying the coefficients. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the numbers. So think about the numbers that are attached in front of variables. And then I'm going to multiply the variables. But what happens when I'm saying that I multiply the variables, you're not really going to go like x times x and get some random thing. So what happens, your exponent laws come back into play, where if you go like x to the power 2 times x to the power 3, write that down. So if I had x to the power 2 times x to the power 3, I know when I multiply bases, the base stays the same, okay? But according to my exponent laws, I'm allowed to add these exponents. So this is that product law. So I would go 2 plus 3 and say that I have x to the power 5. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of examples with you. But before I do that, I want to point out the question says to multiply each of the following. And I just want you to be aware that there's other ways that a question is implying multiplication, but it might be worded slightly different. So I'm going to kind of list some like AKA, also known as, or other words that you might see. All right, so just be aware, if you ever saw a question where it told you to expand, that implies multiplication. If the question said to simplify, and then you notice that it appears as if there's things that are being multiplied together, you're gonna multiply obviously. And another way to word it too, they could just say find the product. So for the first question, we're trying to multiply minus 5x times 2x. So what we have here is monomial, one term, times monomial, another one term. Right, so according to above, and you'll notice I just color coded it, we are going to multiply the numbers first. Okay, so I have a minus 5 and a 2, so I'm going to show that. So I would get minus 5 times 2, and then I'm going to multiply the variables, but keep in mind, when I go x times x, it's like there's a 1 here, it's like there's a 1 here, and remember, you would add your exponents. So I'm going to show that then it's like I have x to the power of 1 plus 1, and then I can clean this up. So negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. And then I'd have x to the power of 1 plus 1. I would have 2. And this would be my final answer. Question B, we have another monomial timesing by a monomial. So follow the same process. We're going to go number times number, show that. And then I'm going to try and multiply the variables. So I will have 4 times 2. And then I'm trying to go y times x. Okay, but this time the y and the x don't match, so actually I can't do anything to the exponents. So when I clean this up, I would just get 8. And then usually I always follow the alphabet. So I would put the x first. If you put the y first, that's fine. So we'll put 4. You can leave your final answer like this. So this is the case where, because these are not the same base, right? This is base y, this is base x. You can't add the exponents. This law only works if the bases are the same. All right, next one. So this time we actually have a monomial, so just a constant 3. We're timesing it by a binomial. So this is where distributive law comes into play. So I'm going to show that I'm going to go 3 times the 2x. So I'm going to have 3 times 2x. And then I'm going to add 3 times 4. Okay, well, if I clean that up, I'll get 6x plus 12. Double check, these are not like terms, so then actually this is your final answer. And just a reminder, I'm showing this line right here. You don't have to show that though. So if you can go straight from here to here, that's totally fine. All right, but if you feel like you like to show the math that's happening, you like to show where the numbers are coming from, go right ahead. Okay, so question D. This time you have a monomial, again, timesing by a binomial. So we are going to have to distribute this 4x throughout the brackets. I'm not really sure what happened to this piece right here, kind of jumped around. So we're going to go 4x times 2x. So I'll show the work one last time for this. So 4x times 2x. And then whatever this sign is going to stay. So I'll just put the minus. And then I'm going to go 4x times the 1. So 4x times 1. Okay, when I clean this up, I'm going to go 4 times 2 is 8. I have x times x. I have a 1 here, a 1 here. That's going to give me x to the power 2. And then this just cleans up to be minus 4x. Check if you can simplify. These are not like terms, right? This is power 1, that's power 2. So this would be our final answer. Question E, you'll notice this time the binomial is first and then the monomial is second. An option is you can do distributive property and then kind of go the other way. So like to the left like this, if that makes sense. I like to just look at it and realize that, well, every term inside the brackets has to get multiplied by that monomial. So I'm just going to show this as I'm going to go 2 times the c. So I get 2c, and then the 6c times the c. So plus 6c times c. Clean stuff up, you would get 2c plus 6. I have a c times c. That means I have c squared. And then don't leave your answer like that. Write it in decreasing order of whatever the variable is. So that should be 6c squared plus 2c. So last one, you'll notice it's monomial times a trinomial. So this monomial has to get multiplied by every single term in the brackets. So keep in mind, we only have 3 terms in the brackets, right? There's 1, 2, 3. I always say this, like if you had like 10 terms or 100 terms, you'd have to multiply the 3x by all of those terms. So we are going to go 3x times 2x. I like to then take the sign, and I'm going to show 3x times the 4y. And then plus 3x times 6. Clean stuff up. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x will give you x squared. Minus 3 times 4, you will get negative 12. X times y, there's nothing you can do. We'll just write it as xy. And then 3 times 6 will give you 18. And I just have that x at the end. And then when you have more than one variable, pick one to write in decreasing order. So I know I have this x squared, so it has to be first. And then technically, these two can switch. So there's no like hard written rule that this has to come before that. So you can leave your answer like this, or you could also state it in this form. Okay, and one last time. So like I said, you don't have to show this step here. You don't have to show this step. You don't have to show this step. Okay, so if you can go straight from here to here, awesome. If you can go straight from here to here, perfect. Okay, so again, you just got to figure out what works best for you. All right, time for you guys to practice some. This one is called multiplying a polynomial and a monomial. It's got quite a few questions on it. So again, I'd probably suggest maybe focus on completing the odds first or the evens, up to you. If you want that extra practice, feel free to complete it all. And again, don't forget, if you're struggling, let me know, send me an email. And then at the end, please identify if you're good to go, if you are so-so, or if you need extra support. Other than that, have a fantastic day.